What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the BallGame podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Dean.
I'm Tom.
I'm Matt.
Today, for the first time ever, we are going to be interviewing two dudes at the same time for one position.
Men.
On the same couch.
Clarify.
Two dudes,
Two
one
men.
position.
Two dudes, one couch.
Two dudes, one couch, one position. Two
Me-
perpetrators.
Two dudes, one water bottle.
Do we have one position, though? We might have different positions.
I'm surprisingly flexible.
Two guys, two positions, one couch.
All right. Well,
Multiple positions, one
All right.
couch.
me and Dean are going to be interviewing Matt and Tom separately for the Giants GM position. Joe Shane is gone. One of these guys is going to be taken over, and we're going to decide which one.
Praise the Lord.
We've done a few of these. We've done one with the Jets. We've done one with the Bears. But the difference in those was there was only one candidate. Dean was the candidate for the Jets. I was the candidate for the Bears. Today, me and Dean are going to have to make a decision on who the best option is for the Giants GM job. So, fellas, how are you doing?
Good.
How you
I'm
feeling?
excited. I'm excited to have the opportunity. Thank you for bringing me in.
Yeah.
How does it feel going up against
bad.
your opponent right now face to face?
No sweat.
I don't even know who this guy is. I don't care.
No, listen. He's a respected man amongst the community. You know, I'm excited for the opportunity. Like I said,
All right. First question is
keep agreeing with me.
Thanks.
first question. We're gonna keep it broad. What do you bring to the New York Giants?
After you.
No. Ladies first.
Tom, what do you bring to the New York Giants?
Okay. I think I bring a new life in the air. I think this whole Daniel Jones situation and the Saquon Barkley situation has really put a negative cloud above the organization as a whole, and the way it was handled, a lot of the fans not happy about it, players not happy about it. So I think you need a new energy that can inject some life into this organization. And you know, this is a fan base that has seen, a lot of them have seen Super Bowls in their lifetime. You know, not that long ago compared to a lot of other organizations. So they want to get back to winning football, and that's what I want to bring.
So
Well, wait.
before I have you answer that, just to follow up, you mentioned Saquon Barkley.
Sure.
We sat here in this office last offseason and really contemplated whether or not we should keep him. And Joe Shane was really adamant on letting him walk, and that ended up biting us in the butt. So we just want to know, as the Mara family, how are you going to protect us in that kind of light? How are you going to make sure that our own players don't walk?
I guess just by negotiating with them better. I mean, you can't obviously give in to everything everyone wants, because you just can't let people walk all over you. I mean, this world is a business at the end of the day, and you have to look out for the future of the business as well as the current state. A guy like Saquon Barkley, he's a tremendous talent, a generational talent. He's going to get a lot of offers. It's hard to keep him, even if you do, adhere to the things he wants. It's still going to be hard to keep him. So
if you were in our position last offseason, what would you have done?
I would have tried to make it work. You know, you guys had a line with that you were comfortable with. You know, you had an amount that you were comfortable giving him, and he wanted more than that. And you know, that's the decision you made, and now you gotta move on from it and live with it. But I like Saquon. I think he, more than even if you argue that the positional value isn't there, he was the face of the heart of the franchise, heart of the locker room. The fan base loved him. So I would have liked to see it happen, but again, we move on.
What about you, Mr. Bystander?
What, do you want to know how I...
No, give us what do you
bring to the New York Giants?
Yeah, that's what I was... Okay, so, look. This team, although we play in New Jersey, is called the New York Giants. We need to bring a New York attitude back to the New York Giants. We have a bunch of blue-collar workers paying hard-earned money to go watch some shit football, if we're being completely honest. For years now, we have been the laughingstock of the NFL, right on up there with the New York Jets. We share MetLife Stadium and turn this place into an absolute garbage dump. So, what I want to bring to the New York Giants is a physical, tough mindset that right now we don't have. We don't have an edge. We need an edge. We need to go into MetLife and strike fear into another team. We need to run the hell out of the football. We need to have a great offensive line and a great defensive line, one that has already been somewhat built in the past by this team. So I think we got to go stronger on our strength with the defensive line. We need to go more in on that and focus on the offensive line. We got to be a physical football team. That's what we need to be. So bring some attitude back to the New York Giants. That's what I need to see. I want to see an edge out of these boys.
That's pretty good.
What was your question about Saquon? Ask him the same thing.
So Tom had mentioned Saquon Barkley, you know, as an identity of being the New York Giants. We like to keep our homegrown legends. And we felt like Saquon Barkley was one of our homegrown legends, and we let him walk to a division rival, and they are walking right up to the Super Bowl on the coattails of Saquon Barkley. And we have to sit here and watch it. How are we going to make sure that doesn't happen in the future?
So a couple things need to be said for that. Number one, I think the one thing that my predecessor, Joe Shane, did not do wrong was he didn't pay Saquon Barkley an exorbitant amount of money for a rebuilding franchise, and that's what you guys are. Whether you like to admit it or not, whether you are ready to accept it or not, Saquon Barkley, what he's doing for the Philadelphia Eagles right now, never would have been possible in New York for the next few years by the time he's out of his prime. Whether you guys like to accept that or not is up to you. That is totally up to you. But in the current state that we are in, you don't pay a running back. You need to build the rest of the roster and then put the cherry on top with the running back in a guy like Saquon Barkley. Hence where the Eagles had everything built, ready to go, and they dropped, yes, our hero, your franchise hero, Saquon Barkley, right on in, and the man puts up a record-breaking season. We never would have seen that version of Saquon. If you want to tell me what's the best version of Saquon we've ever seen, it's, 2,000 scrimmage yards in totality, and that was his rookie season. Why didn't he get better from that point forward? You didn't put the situation around him. That matters. So that's where I stand on that.
But don't you think it's a bad look for us as the Giants to let our guy walk to a division run? He didn't join, the Jaguars. He didn't go and join a team in the AFC where we don't even have to think about him, see him ever. We got to drive he's an hour away in Philadelphia, and we see him twice a year, and he's in the Super Bowl. That can't happen.
And we as the Mara family, we love Saquon like he was our son, honestly. We loved him like he was a part of the family. And Saquon maybe would have never reached those heights as a New York Giant, but what Saquon did was bring an energy to our locker room and bring a sense of leadership to our locker room that we were clearly lacking this year. So you as the GM, Mr. Sullivan, are you willing to save money for the sake of positional value and lose leaders in the locker room like we just did this past year?
So I find it interesting that you say leaders of the locker room and stuff, and yet the team has still failed year over year for the last few years. So I think that's an interesting point. I agree. I get it. The leaders of the locker room. I think another big loss that hasn't even been mentioned in all of this is Xavier McKinney. I mean, why doesn't that one get mentioned quite nearly as much? The man led the league in interceptions. I mean, I get it. We lost 2 locker room leaders. In some cases, I think one of them, at the bare minimum, should have been brought in. That is how I feel. But you lost a leader in the locker room, and you tail spun either way. It wasn't like your team was great last year, and you decided to not bring the guy back. You need to establish a new culture now. This is the new New York Giants. This is not the old New York Giants anymore. We need to move on to a new regime. We need to look forward to the future. The mistakes of the past with Saquon Barkley and not paying him are over. You can't fix it anymore. So, yes, I want to build a successful franchise that, has its own pillars of the franchise that we can pay in the future of a successful organization. So,
all right. So, Tom, he mentions, a new culture and a new regime. How are you going to bring that? How are you going to attack this offseason? Let's start with free agency.
Sure.
How are you going to attack free agency?
I think in free agency, the primary focus, listen, this is a rebuilding organization. There's no doubt about it. That being said, you guys want to get fans in the seats, you got to give them something to come watch. So the weakest points of this team last season on the football field, in my opinion, were the secondary. I think the defense overall could use some bit of an overhaul, but the secondary especially is where I would primarily target. And then the quarterback position is obviously the most important position on the field. So in terms of free agency, I would look at some veteran secondary guys that we can bring in on short-term deals, maybe Justin Simmons, a player like that. A couple other names off the top of my head. Charvarius Ward, see what his price tag is. If it's nothing crazy, if someone offers him a 3-4 year deal, then we probably steer away from that. But guys like that can bring, they've been on winning teams. They've been in big games, and we've got a lot of young guys, especially in that secondary, that haven't. So they can pick up from those guys. So I think that's important. Fixing the trenches is always important. You want to be able to run the football. You want to be able to protect whoever we put back there. So I think some additional investment into the offensive line. Again, maybe some young talent like Tevin Jenkins, kid from the Bears. He's going to have quite a few suitors. So we'll see what that price tag is. A guy like Kevin Zeitler. Guys like that can really establish an identity.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was going to say what I think our biggest need is. What do you think our biggest need is right now?
Biggest need is quarterback. You need someone under center to lead the team and guide the offense.
Yeah. Well, we happen to have the 3rd pick this year.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah,
it's an important pick.
We'll get to that. How do you feel about this upcoming free agency class, Mr. Champion?
The upcoming free agency class, it's an interesting one. We don't have the most money. We have a decent amount of cap space going in with around 40 plus, right over 40 million, with some cuts to be made and stuff like that. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. There's some guys that you could build upon, some older vets in the secondary, as he mentioned. Some guys along the offensive line that I think you need to bring in as competition. I actually do think there's a few spots on the offensive line that are pretty well settled to this point. I think we have a franchise cornerstone with the left tackle and Andrew Thomas. I think you have a right tackle that seems to love it here in Jermaine Illuminor, and he plays well. Left guard, you paid John Runyon. There's nothing we could do about that. I think it's a solid enough free agency class to where we can make a few moves along the margins to bring in some culture guys, as you guys said, some vets that have done some winning, and guys that could set a tone and set a nasty attitude. Like I think the Charvarius Ward one, to give you credit to what you just said before. I think that's a great one because of the fact that he gets on the football field and he talks shit. He wants to establish and let you know that he is here. He is, and that's what we want the New York Giants to be. We don't want to be a pushover anymore because that's what teams look at us as. So I think Charvarius Ward's a good move, and I think you got to get some nasty dudes on the offensive line that are going to set a tone and compete with some of the guys we have in the building. So,
well, that's been our shortcoming for the past. I don't even know how long since our Eli days, and our offensive line has been
after the Super Bowl.
They have been abysmal. That's why Saquon Barkley couldn't stay healthy and never reached his full potential while he was with us. So I agree. I think really targeting offensive line would be a big.
Oddly enough, one thing, I wonder how you guys feel about this. I think bringing in a vet receiver would actually do us some good as well. I think a Keenan Allen maybe still has a little bit of ball in the tank. I think.
We'll be asking the questions.
Are you asking us or telling us?
Oh, no. We're going to get Keenan Allen.
Okay.
I just, need to be polite.
What if I said I had another guy in mind that I liked better?
Such as
a Chris Godwin.
I think coming off a torn ACL. Look, I'm open to any suggestions that you guys have as owners, but what needs to be understood and the relationship that needs to be had here is you're bringing me in for a reason. You're bringing me in to turn.
Whoa,
all right,
whoa.
so
No, we're not getting hostile here.
You need to relax. Yeah, you need to relax. You need to slow down. You need to slow down.
You want to pull up your bank account, big boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who needs a job? Who needs a job? Me or you?
Tom, I like this guy. I like Tom.
Yeah, Tom's doing a good job. We'll stay on you, though, give you a chance to answer your question first. The elephant in the room. We thought we had a franchise quarterback. Joe Shane thought we had a franchise quarterback. You paid him $40 million. That guy is no longer with us. We're eating, what, 20 plus?
$22 million this year.
For nothing.
I'll ask the questions. $22 million of dead cap for no reason. He's not with us any longer. We don't have, we have. Well, no, we don't even have. We don't even have Drew Lock going into the season. We have Tommy DeVito going into the season. We need a quarterback. We presume that will get done through the draft with our 3rd overall pick. So what are your plans there with the 3rd overall pick in the draft and also just in general to address the quarterback position on this team?
So us having the 3rd overall pick, I think it's a tough situation because there are 2 teams above us that likely are going to end up drafting a quarterback. And I think from that perspective, you can't force another pick after that. And I don't think a trade-up scenario is the best case because I don't look at this quarterback draft class as something of generational. So in my vision, I would like to handle the quarterback position by paying a guy for 1 or 2 years, just having him potentially, guide a future quarterback down the line, not this year. And just having that guy start for this upcoming season and looking forward to the future at the quarterback position. I don't think the 3rd overall pick, if there is not a quarterback there, that there's something to be forced. You maybe take one in the 2nd round, the third round, a developmental prospect potentially, but I don't think you can, unless a guy like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is there at 3, I really don't think it's a good idea to try to force a trade up.
I have a follow-up question, but I want to hear what you have to say about this first.
I actually entirely agree. I think if Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward are not there, then we missed out on a quarterback. And then I agree. Bring in a guy in free agency. There's a couple names out there. No one's super exciting, but guys that have been around the league a long time, done some winning or not, just have been around the league a long time, have a lot to offer in terms of locker room and leadership and guidance to a younger quarterback down the road. But yeah, I think if a guy slips in the 2nd, 3rd round that, maybe we didn't think would be there at the time, then sure. Or if the trade up opportunity is there in the later rounds, sure, by all means, we'll go get a project guy and see what we have there. But yeah, I think free agency for now, veteran leader, and then address quarterback for the future down the road.
So let's say with the 1st overall pick, either, I think the Titans are going to go quarterback for sure. Let's say the Browns surprise us and take the edge from Penn State. What do you guys do at 3? You have one of either Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders to pick from. Let's say it's one or the other. Who do you prefer, Tom, if you were to take a quarterback in this draft, if they were there?
It's difficult. They're both super talented. I think they both have a ton of potential. I lean towards Ward. I like on the football field. I think they again both have similar amounts of skill, if that makes sense. Like they're not exactly great at the same things, but they're just as good at the things they are good at.
Is that how he does it?
Yeah.
I do like
Nick, how's my form?
I like the composure Cam Ward plays with. He just keeps himself, he's cool under pressure. And we just saw Jaden Daniels have the greatest rookie season of all time with that same mantra, that same identity that he doesn't let pressure get to him. And that's a trait I really value in a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, for me, after doing some film study and stuff, I've looked at both the quarterbacks, and I think I'm going to side with Cam Ward as well. I like the physical traits. I think with the right with the right coach, with the right coaching around him, I think the physical traits can really be brought out of a quarterback, and I don't think you could teach the physical traits like that. I think Cam has a ridiculously strong arm. He's super athletic, and I think in the NFL you gotta sometimes look at traits and look at production, and you gotta think, okay, can we work with this guy? And he seems like he has a phenomenal work ethic. So, yeah, I think I'd also side with Cam Ward on that one.
If it was up to you and that quarterback was there, are you even going to take a quarterback? I'll leave it up to you. Are you even going to take one? Or would you trade down?
So, for me, I think if available, the one guy that I want to target more than anything else is Abdul Carter, edge from Penn State. I think he's a game wrecker in the same vein of a Micah Parsons. We watch what he does against us twice a year, over and over again. He just wrecks games for us, and I think I see the same with an Abdul Carter. But as I said before, if the quarterbacks are there, I think it's a good idea for us to take one and develop one for the future. So, yeah, I would end up taking a quarterback there if it's available to us.
So if they're available, you're taking them, you're going to stay there and be content with it.
Yeah.
What about you, Tom?
I agree, yeah. If one of those quarterbacks is there, I'll take them. I have enough confidence that they can be franchise guys, and with the right guy around them, we can turn them into franchise guys and maximize their potential. If not, I like Abdul Carter. I like Travis Hunter. I mean, I don't know about playing both sides of the football. We'll see about that, but I like him a lot too. If the quarterbacks are off the board.
So, for both of you, what if we hire one of you? You got the job. Congratulations. And the first thing we tell you is, we need one of those two quarterbacks on this team. I don't care how you get it done. We need one of those two quarterbacks on this team. What is your answer to me, Mr. John Mara, if I told you that?
Me first?
Sure.
We gotta see what the price is. I mean, do you want to mortgage the future to move up one or two spots to get the quarterback you want when, let's face it, these guys aren't Caleb Williams last year or Drake May or Jaden Daniels. They're just not, they a lot of our experts don't think they have that level of potential, and it could be difficult to achieve that level. So obviously we'll consider all options, and if that's what you want, then we will we'll sincerely look into it. But just gotta see what the price tag is.
In the most respectful fashion, the most successful organizations in the NFL, ownership likes to keep themselves out of decision making. I think you got to hire the right people and let them do the jobs that they're supposed to be hired for in the first place to then do something like that. I totally understand why you'd want a quarterback. It puts asses in the seats and it gets you jersey sales. So I 100% get it.
We do run a business.
But you also need to look for the long-term future of your business because it is an asset and you want that asset to only appreciate in value. If you want that to happen, you can't mortgage your future either, and that's how I look at it. If the price is right, then you go for it. You go for him. But if not, you don't mortgage the future for a guy that you don't fully believe in.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah, no,
sounds good.
great answers. So Tom, how long? Listen, we've been mediocre for years now, like we mentioned. We went to the playoffs, in 2016. The guys went on a little boat trip, and it's been downhill ever since then.
Yeah.
How long do you anticipate it is until the New York Football Giants are back playing playoff football?
Well, it starts with, like I said, the guy under center. I'm not, if we get a bridge quarterback this season and then plug the other holes in the roster, I mean, we saw Dable take a team that no one thought he could. We saw him take that team to the playoffs once before and even win a playoff game. So we have tremendous confidence. You have tremendous confidence in Brian Dable as a coach. If he gets the right guy under center, it's a tough battle in the NFC. I'll be honest with you. So I can't make any guarantees as far as next season, but then the season after that, we've got these young guys, the rookies we draft this year in their second year next year, and then the guys there was a pretty good draft class this past season. They'll be in their third year. So I think sooner rather than later is the answer.
For me, I think this is at least a 2-year process right now. I think we're in a situation where, first of all, I don't want people to get confused with the fact that Jaden Daniels just went out there and had the greatest rookie season from a quarterback that we've ever seen. That is the anomaly. That is not the normal. That does not happen every year. What the Texans did with Stroud, what the Commanders did with Jaden, this is a process.
The Broncos did with Bo Nix.
What the Broncos did with Bo Nix, this is a process. You got to get the guy correct under center. And if we don't feel like we have that this upcoming draft, then it's going to be a 2-year process. I think we can build this roster to be competitive next year, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be a playoff roster. There's too many holes for us to just fill in one off season. So I think that it's a 2-year process for us before we're playing playoff football in MetLife again.
So let's say you take a quarterback. Do you reset your leash on Brian Dable? Does he get another 4 years? Because we're getting pretty restless with him at our head coaching position.
That was actually going to be my next question. Listen, we know if we bring one of you guys in, Dabes isn't your guy. So what is your leash on a guy like Brian Dable as the head coach of the Giants?
I like Brian Dable a lot. I believe in him a lot. I mean, like I said, he took that roster to the playoffs and won a playoff game and overachieved with that roster, hence you paying Daniel Jones. I mean, he made you guys think Daniel Jones was a $40 million guy. Imagine what he can do with a guy that actually is a $40 million guy, and then a better offensive line and a good second. And if you get him back a good secondary and a good pass rush, I really do think he is the guy for you. So, I think let the reins go a little bit because I do think he is a guy that needs that freedom that he's not constantly being. What's the word? I don't want to say watched over because he kind of is being watched over, but I don't want him to feel like there's this constant pressure on him. I think if we let him do his job, I think he can do it successfully.
So what I didn't like over the past season or so is the constant switching of the play caller. He gives it to Mike Kafka, he takes it back. He gives it to Mike Kafka, he takes it back. Why is he not trusting the coordinators that he hired? Why is he going back and forth, back and forth? Are you going to make sure that Dable either keeps the play calling or gives it to his coordinators? Because I didn't like how inconsistent things were with our play calling this season.
I think that is a decision that's ultimately up to him. If he has a coordinator he trusts, then he doesn't have to take the reins on the play calling. But then, yeah, you ask yourself, why can't he pick a guy that he trusts? I mean, why can't he find the right guy? I think, like I said, there's the on the field issues. Like that's his department. I don't feel it's my place to interject and make those decisions for him. But there does need to be a decision being made for him, and he needs to. And I do think he needs to stick with it because, especially if we have our young quarterback. And he's got a new play caller every 4 games. I mean, he's just not ever going to be able to get into a rhythm. So I think he does have to figure something out.
Yeah.
So to answer the first question as well as the second one, I think Brian Daboll is a good head coach in the NFL. I think we've seen that. He's taken a less talented team with the Giants just a few years ago, and you guys made the playoffs, and this is when we thought that the organization was ready to start competing, and that was when the whole setback happened. I think Daboll's good, but I need to see progress next year. I don't necessarily need to see the most competitive team in the NFL. I need to see progress. And I need to see a guy who could get and keep the locker room. And to the point that you guys made, or the question that you just asked prior as well, a certain guy that you guys are very familiar with called Bill Belichick always said, do your job. Do your job. A head coach's job, I listened to this podcast called the BallGame podcast one time, and they said that a head coach's job is also to hire great coordinators. And they were right. Those boys know some ball. They were very right about that. You need to hire great coordinators that you trust to do their job and not just play this give and take. And I think that's part of coaching. It's a big part of coaching, actually. So I think if that continues to happen this year, if I don't see strides of a team that starts to play a certain brand of football, then Brian Daboll has to go. Because, again, you guys said it, I'm not attached to him. That's not my guy in the end. But I would definitely love to keep him for the long term so we don't have to make another move.
So you guys you're not going to fire him on the spot when you get into the building?
Absolutely not.
No. And you think if you get rid of him after a year that's going to be healthy for the quarterback that you may or may not take? Does that depend on if you take a quarterback? If you don't take a quarterback, are you going to just keep Daboll?
It's not ideal, but if I take a quarterback and I decide that this head coach is not the best solution for him, I'm not just going to keep him because he's comfortable with him. I mean, that's a reality in the NFL is that guys come and go. Your receivers are going to come and go, your coaches are going to come and go, your coordinators, etc. So yeah, I'm not just going to walk in the door and fire Brian Daboll, but he does have a limit. You know, he's not. He hasn't earned the, just go and do whatever you want, and then
It's not like he got a new contract.
Right? Yeah.
Just because you are.
And I think, first of all, we're behind in the coaching cycle now. All the coaches are hired. You want to fire a head coach now? You're making an awful impulsive decision at this point, and I understand that as the new GM or whoever comes in. I just think it's an impulsive decision when you're so far behind in the opportunity to potentially hire a new coach. So I think you have to keep the guy. And look, if you don't think he can guide this franchise to success in the future, then I'm sorry to our franchise quarterback, but the guy that we're going to bring in, we think he will guide you into a better future of your of your career and of our franchise. So you have to make the best moves for the organization. It's just how it has to be.
I agree.
You have any more questions?
None that I could think of.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. This is a tough decision.
I feel like we have to deliberate a little bit.
We do. What do you think?
We have to leave the room.
Why don't you, for the sake of the podcast, you guys should say out loud why you think, what you're thinking. As far as,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're gonna deliberate.
No, I know.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. You both basically said the same shit.
Nobody said anything groundbreaking, but the delivery was a bit different. I feel like Tom was a little bit sweet to my ears. Tom was nice.
Tom was sweet. Or
Tom fed me a little ice cream. Tom fattened me up. He made me feel good about myself.
ice cream.
Matt made me feel like garbage.
Yeah. I agree. No, Tom was like a Cold Stone vanilla ice cream with gummy bears and caramel.
No, it's so sweet.
So
The
sweet.
sweetest you could be. But sweet's not what we need in this organization right now. It ain't always sweet. But it could be.
It could be.
It could be sweet.
I'm not John Mara. I'm Chris. if you guys didn't know. But
Whoa.
Whoa.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Scooby Doo.
I do feel
Would have got
like
away with it too.
I do feel, and I agree with your point that most of the more successful organizations in the NFL the owners aren't involved. But if I did own an NFL team and I said like, hey, like I want certain things done certain ways, like the answer isn't you're hiring me to do a job. The answer is yes. And Tom gave me that answer of yes, whereas you said I'm going to do things, you're hiring me to do a job, which I didn't really like. Yeah.
See, that's where the big difference comes in is philosophy, right? I think that you guys have the same idea in the way you do your job, but you have different ideas of how you treat your employer.
Yeah. Because when I asked the question about, like, oh, if I said we need a quarterback in this year's draft, I don't even remember what your answer was, but I know in Tom's answer, he made sure to say, we'll look into it. He at least said, we'll look into it.
He buttered me up.
Yeah, he was buttering us.
I'm like lathered in butter right now.
Yeah.
And that's why the Giants are a failure of an organization.
Well, no, I mean,
that's another reason why you're not going to get the job.
I mean, an owner is just realistically never going to take that much of a step back. Like, even the best owners have some input on what they wanted. Like you can't just like say, you know, you can't just yes them to death, but you also can't. I don't think you should either just tell them you stay away.
Yeah.
Because like you know?
on a real, this is
no, I know, me too.
completely
Yeah,
separated. On a real note, I don't think they should completely stay away. That's why I said I would want them to be involved in the processes, but in the end, like
Didn't sound like that.
also, look at where the fucking Giants are right now.
No, I don't.
This is
disagree
as a
with you,
fan
but,
right
like,
now. Like, this is
100%.
fully removed from
yeah,
this.
100%.
Look at where we fucking are right now. For the last 10 years, we actually have been the laughingstock of the fucking NFL. It's a goddamn joke. And John Mara is part of that. John Mara is part of the
100%.
fucking problem.
Yeah.
Like, when nothing goes right, you got to start to blame ownership
But
at some point.
Of course, you blame ownership 100%, but like the ownership isn't. These are egotistical, egomaniac billionaires. They're not just gonna. No matter who they hire, they could hire Jesus Christ himself as the GM. They're not just gonna say, "Hey, Jesus, take the wheel." They're gonna have something to say about. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the best organizations
it's wishful thinking.
across any sport nowadays has the structure of, you know, the owner at the top. Obviously, it's the owner,
Right.
and then a president of operations that acts as the owner that is a guy of that sport.
Yeah, the owner's just the guy with money. Like,
Right.
Yes.
A guy
that's what
like
he should be.
a perfect example is the New York Knicks. It's a perfect example. I can't think of a better one to where James Dolan got out of the way,
Yeah.
hired a president,
Yeah,
and they're
100%.
now successful. But he stands in as the owner. He takes no crap from anybody, and he's the owner basically. He just doesn't make the owner money.
Right.
He doesn't own the Knicks, and I think that that's the best structure of sports from now
agree.
on.
I
Forever.
completely agree.
I agree.
I think as an owner, you aren't cutting your teeth in the NFL field. That's not how you became an owner of the NFL. You have business investments. You have all these things, whether it's real estate or whatever. You're an expert in those fields. You are not an expert in NFL circles. That is not what your job was. That's not what you were growing up doing. So that's why I've always thought, and if you are an owner of an NFL team and you have prior NFL experience, like,
and you're watching this right now. Listen right now.
yeah, like just in general, I really do think, like, you don't see anything with the Chiefs. You don't see anything with the Chiefs in terms of, like, Howie Roseman. I'm pretty sure he's the GM, or is he the owner? Who's the owner? Jeffrey Lurie. I think he's the owner. Howie Roseman runs everything there, and you don't hear a peep out of that. The best organizations in football, not a single thing is going on with ownership. But then you look at the worst in the NFL, and all of them seem to have the same thing in common, that their owners don't get out of their own fucking ways.
So the point I was going to leave off with is the best owners in football are the ones you probably don't know the name of.
Exactly.
Like, you know who owns the 49ers? I have no idea.
The
No
Yorks?
clue.
Sure. You know who owns the Chiefs? Like, I don't know who owns the Chiefs, but I know who owns the Giants. I know who owns the Jets. I know who owns the Panthers. You know, like,
I know
so
who
on
owns
and so
The
forth.
Jaguars,
I know who owns the Cowboys. Right. Like,
Cowboys.
Cowboys are the worst of them. Jerry Jones being
Yeah.
the GM is absolutely
Yeah, he's
disgraceful.
horrible.
I'm
but,
sorry.
But yeah,
No,
like
I
that
agree
is,
with
yeah.
you guys. Like, the owner should stay out of the way.
Yeah.
But
Who do we hire, dude?
for the sake of the skit, you know.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Me personally, I need a tough voice in the building. I need someone who's not going to butter me up. I need someone who's going to tell me the truth.
I love being buttered up.
I need a truth teller. I need to not be sugar coated. And Tom right now is full of sugar.
I love sugar, bro.
Not wrong.
Tom's full of sugar. I'm full of caffeine. I can't fucking sit still
Tom's
right
full
now.
of buttery sugar.
He really is.
Yo, you know what that makes me think of? Like Texas Roadhouse rolls. right
Yo,
There you go.
I went
Bro,
last week.
I haven't eaten
Fire.
a thing all day.
Yo.
Don't even
Yeah,
get
I'm
me started.
starved,
Yo,
bro.
I'm
Texas
salivating.
Roadhouse, $32, a porterhouse and 2 sides, bro.
Yeah, we're going.
What?
Yep.
Fuck school. I'm not
All right,
going.
we
All
out.
right.
And if you go
I'm not
before
Who the
5,
fuck are we
5:30,
hiring, bro?
$13 for a sirloin and 2 sides.
Bro,
$13.
I'm starving right now.
All right, who are we going with? My pick is Matt. You could tell me if you disagree and why.
Man, it really is tough because you guys really did fucking say the same exact shit.
I mean, where did we differ? I don't think we really did differ. We
You
literally
really
said the
didn't
same
differ
free
on it.
agents.
Yeah, you guys
We said
really
the
didn't
same
differ on
draft
anything,
picks.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I
Yeah.
think like the only thing we kind of differed on was the fact that you were more open to
The Saquon thing,
possibility-
yes.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Saquon thing, number one.
And I like that. You guys know how I feel about the Giants not bringing Saquon back. Like, I
Forgot
really,
about that. That was a big point.
I really
like
do
that.
think I don't not as John Mara, as Chris O'Brien. I really don't give a fuck that Saquon wouldn't be doing what he was doing in
I
Philly
agree.
for the Giants. Like, I just don't fucking care. Like,
I don't want him to be doing what he's doing. with
he
Philly.
was the like, I don't fucking care about positional
Yeah.
value. I could care less. Like, he was the franchise, and not you, but Joe Shane, like, utterly disrespected him. And you could have all the football knowledge you want as a GM, but if you don't take care of your players, no one's gonna want to come play for your
Especially, like,
organization.
If in this
You know what I
draft,
mean?
like, because you can say, oh, well, if the Giants had Saquon, they probably would have won 6 games instead of 3 or something like that. If you don't, like, get your franchise quarterback in this draft, then, like, really what was it all for? Like, if you don't get a franchise-changing
Yeah.
guy,
Like, and I,
what was it
I
all
that's
for?
always
why,
you know?
I always say the mistake wasn't not paying Saquon this year. The mistake was choosing to pay Daniel Jones
yeah.
and
Yes.
franchise tagging
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley. That was the mistake.
Yeah.
But that's why I also brought up Xavier McKinney too, because it's like you paid
100%,
neither of your locker room
Yeah.
leaders, neither of them. You pay one of them, at least like you could walk away like, okay, we kept one of the cornerstones of this organization. Like that's why I brought up
And it's
both.
just
'Cause
like,
it just goes without saying.
From the owner's perspective too, like, not only was Saquon the locker room guy, but Saquon was the one who was putting
getting
money in
people
our
in the seats,
pockets.
yeah.
Selling jerseys. I mean,
Right.
You still see Saquon jerseys all in the stands. The whole
Right.
stadium is full
But
of Saquon.
to be fair, they lucked into another one of those guys in Malik Neighbors that kind of walked into
Yeah,
that, and took the
100%,
jersey sales and
100%.
put asses in
right,
seats.
but now
like,
it's like
you could add both.
now it's like just from a like if Joe Shane's still there when the time comes, I doubt he will be, but when the time comes, is Joe Shane gonna take care of Malik Neighbors? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I don't know.
if he's even the GM at that time.
Right. I don't think he will be, but just
No.
hypothetically,
'Cause
like,
one of us are getting that job.
yeah.
Yeah, eventually. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that for me that's a big thing. Like taking
Yeah.
care of your players is a big thing for a GM. Like I really do think it's a bad look. Like what the Giants did this offseason, it was a bad look. Especially because it was all nationally televised. Well,
That
streaming on
was
HBO.
yeah, that's
big part of the
entering
problem.
GM mode again. We're not letting any fucking cameras.
Yeah,
in this,
no,
like,
never
I know it's all
fucking
up to
happening.
you, but let's
Yeah.
not let any cameras.
Never
in.
happened.
My
in our
my
office.
vote would be for Tom. That was a swing factor for me.
I forgot about that, and I did ask that question, and I think that's also a reason to hire you is because you would keep our homegrown stars. Saquon Barkley was everything that you'd want a Giant to be. He embodied our whole franchise, and we let him walk to a division rival. So for that reason, I'm also going to choose Tom for this job.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, you were.
Well deserved, brother.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome
I'm
to the New
excited.
York
I'm excited to
Giants.
start.
Yeah.
That organization would be shit for.
Hey, you looking for a
Because at
job?
the end of the
I just
day,
wanna
like,
hold my jock strap.
at the end of the
No, I
day,
actually got
like,
3 lined up. I'm
yeah,
good. I'm good, bro.
if they paid Saquon this year, it would have hurt the salary cap wise. But if they didn't fucking pay Daniel Jones 2 off seasons ago, then it really wouldn't hurt that much paying a guy like Saquon.
I mean,
Well,
what
yeah,
did
but
Sa-
that wasn't
What did Saquon get from the Eagles? How much?
12,
11
12
million?
and a half
12
a
What
year.
did they give Devin Singletary?
3 years, 37 and a half.
Right, it's
Devin
like
got
4.
3 for like 18.
That's even worse. So you let
$6
$6 million
million
be the difference between
Right.
Saquon and
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe a little less.
Yeah,
in that,
that's
but
not good.
You could have made it work.
I mean,
That's when, yeah, especially like we know how the NFL salary cap
You
is. Like you
restructure
could always
everything.
move money around. Like if you felt like Saquon, you were paying him too much, you could figure it out and restructure.
but the
it
thing is, that
somehow.
wasn't the question. Like the question was about Saquon and that move by itself. Like if you go back 2 off seasons, then yes, it should have been franchise tag Daniel Jones, see what you got in him, and pay Saquon Barkley. Like that's what should have happened. But that's not what happened.
But
so.
even this past offseason, like you just don't let a guy like that leave your building.
yeah.
Like you just
I don't know. You're in a position where it's like that's how I still to this day will defend.
because at the end of the day, they
both
would have been
sides
they
of the
would have been
story.
bad with Saquon too, but we would have been selling more jerseys. We would have had a fucking leader in the locker. You know what I mean? Like
We would have had a cornerstone in the franchise.
like it's not like that. That to me like was never about wins and losses.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
went
just-
ahead and drafted
and
Tyrone
it's-
Tracy, and he did better than Saquon was doing in a Giant jersey.
Yeah,
Like, that's
bro,
the sad
mad
truth.
better with those fumbles, bro. Miss me with that. Tyrone
Yeah, he
Tracy
lost us a
sucks.
game, thank God. Last year
Exactly.
we were fucking winning games when we missed out on Drake May and Jaden Daniels because we won meaningless ass fucking Tommy DeVito games.
Well, the owner
Like-
didn't want to trade up for those guys either, but
yeah, I mean, it's a really bad
The
look.
GM
when,
didn't want to
GM
trade up either. Like,
when the GM's kid is saying you only get one chance, take Jaden Daniels.
You know,
He's like,
yeah, I'm sure he tried.
bro,
but-
Drake
Nah,
or
no.
fucking he apparently did try to trade up
Yeah.
for Drake.
I know
That
he
was the
I know
thing.
he tried to trade up for Drake, but I don't know about Jaden honestly.
They
I don't know if
weren't
were
moving.
good.
None of
Yeah.
those three were moving out of that spot, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with the Tom hire. I
Yeah.
think he said everything
Thanks,
I wanted to
guys.
hear.
Congrats,
I think
Tom.
I'm super lathered up, super buttered, super oiled, everything you need to be
Yeah,
to go have a smooth ride
you
in.
feel the glaze.
I feel the sweet.
I
No,
hope he
it's
feels
not
the
glazed. I just think your approach of like you wanted the tough, run it down your throat mentality on the football field.
Came
I
off
don't-
the football field.
Right. I don't know if that's the place of a GM to be. And this is just like just a PSA, like just a tidbit. Like I don't know if that should come from a GM. That's got to come from the locker room and the coaching.
Also, not.
think.
I
You know?
no, but I
No,
also
I
think
think
it starts at the top
yeah,
in every
I think
organization.
the GM should have
Yeah.
that mindset,
A grit and grind mindset.
not
yeah, if
in
that's what you
the
want.
interview with the owner.
Well, yeah, I mean that's also true. Yeah.
Not in the interview with the owner.
Nah, I don't know. Some of that is just my frustration as a Giant fan in
Yeah.
general too. Like,
Yeah.
because it's just like, bro,
You
I'm
let your
so
emotions
sick
get
of
the
this.
best of you, bud.
I
Sorry.
did, man.
Cost you your dream job.
All right,
Yeah.
well,
Now you're working at McDonald's.
Damn. Actually, I'm joining the Chiefs as an assistant GM. We're all good,
Sorry,
brother.
Trim.
sorry, Trim. Still a cracker barrel. If you guys like the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you would do to fix the Giants going into this offseason.
And who you would hire?
Who you would hire, who you would draft, who you like better as a prospect, Cam Ward or Shador Sanders, all of that fun jubble. Let us know who you want us to try and fix next, and check out the Bears video and the Jets video. One of them will be popping up on the screen right now if you haven't already. And with that,
Ball game.
Ball
That
game.
was
ball
ball
game.
game.